Part 1. The Last Small Town Diner. Hey guys! Tonight we're settling into something a little different. So go ahead and dim the lights, adjust the pillow, and let the world outside just fade into background static. Because we're taking a slow, sleepy walk into a quiet rural town. The kind you usually pass on the highway without thinking. The kind that has 2 stoplights, maybe 3 if the county got ambitious one year. And at the heart of that town, there's a diner. Of course there is. Every small town seems to come with one by default, like the universe insists that pancakes and gossip are essential infrastructure. This one is called Maggie's Place. And, every time a diner is named after someone, you just sort of assume the person was terrifyingly stubborn. Maggie fits the stereotype pretty well. She's somewhere in her late 60s, maybe older. No one is brave enough to ask. Moving with that slow but efficient rhythm that suggests she's run out of patience for the actual passage of time. And Maggie's Place has been her life for decades, not in an overly dramatic way, just in that gentle, cumulative, this is what I do, and so I do it sort of way. But as we float into this story, the diner isn't doing great. Rural America has had better centuries. People moved away, factories closed, the highway got rerouted. The usual. In Nagi's Place, once full of truckers, church folks, teenagers, and the eternally bored, now feels like a museum exhibit of a diner. It has that quiet, slightly echoing emptiness, the kind that makes the hum of the fridge feel almost loud. Still, Maggie opens every morning before sunrise. She wears the same pale blue apron, patched in 2 places, and she still wipes down the counter even when no one has touched it. Not because it's dirty, but because habit can be strangely comforting when the world changes too much. Let's drift around the inside for a moment. There's the classic checkerboard floor that squeaks in the back left corner if you step just right. The pie carousel that turns a little too slowly, like it's nervous someone will actually pick a slice. A chalkboard menu where Maggie writes the daily specials in handwriting that somehow manages to be both aggressive and elegant. And there are 6 red vinyl booths. 4 are torn. 1 has springs that poke people, but only locals know which one. The last booth, by the window, still looks good, mostly because nobody sits there. The town itself is called Barley Creek. The name sounds charming and misleading. There is, in fact, no barley. There is technically a creek, but calling it a creek is generous. It's more of a moody ditch. Still, the town holds on to the name as if branding might magically fix the local economy. Now, about the people. There aren't many. You've got Frank, the mailman, who hasn't updated his route in 20 years because he claims the mailboxes should move to me. You've got Denise, the school librarian, who whispers even when she's not in the library. And there's Earl, whose official job title is unclear, but he owns a pickup truck, which automatically makes him useful. Everyone knows everyone here, or at least everyone knows of everyone. It's the kind of town where you don't have secrets, you just have things everyone politely pretends not to bring up in public. Maggie, meanwhile, keeps the diner running, barely. Her son Russell helps sometimes. He's in his 30s, generally well-meaning, and maintains the energy of someone who always feels a few minutes behind schedule. He tried leaving town once, years ago, but came back because, as he put it, I miss the coffee that tastes like existential crisis. So now he fills in shifts, fixes the occasional clogged sink, and tries to not burn pancakes, yet continues to do so anyway. So far, nothing here sounds out of the ordinary, and that's exactly the point. Quiet towns tend to stay quiet, until occasionally something odd happens. Not dramatic, not paranormal, just odd enough to make people pay attention. And that oddness begins on a Tuesday morning. Because of course it does. Nothing meaningful ever starts on a Friday. Tuesdays have a special talent for unexpected nonsense. It's early. The kind of early where the horizon is still negotiating with the sun. Maggie unlocks the diner, flips on the lights, and listens to the fixtures buzz themselves awake. She starts the coffee percolating, arranges the napkins, and sets out the donuts that Russell picked up from a bakery 2 towns over. Everything is normal, predictable, comfortably monotonous. Then the bell above the door jingles. This surprises Maggie, since it's only 5:42 a.m. and not even Frank the mailman is awake that early. She looks up and sees a man step inside, not a local. And in Barley Creek, you can spot a non-local instantly. He's wearing a long, dark coat, even though the weather doesn't require it. His boots look expensive in that understated way that wealthy people seem to enjoy. And he has this slow, deliberate way of moving, as if each step is something he consciously chooses. He nods at Maggie. Not a smile, not a greeting, just a nod. Then he sits in the one booth no one ever uses. The good one, the clean one, the oddly untouched one. And that catches Maggie's attention. She walks over with a coffee pot and asks what she always asks, "What do you have?" He looks at her with calm, clear eyes and says, "Whatever you recommend." Now, this is unusual. People in small-town diners rarely request recommendations. They already know exactly what they want, or they order like they're placing a bet. But Maggie pretends not to notice the weirdness and pours him coffee. He drinks it without adding sugar or cream. Bold move for someone unfamiliar with Maggie's coffee. Then he orders pancakes, which Russell will inevitably burn, but hey, customer responsibility. While the food cooks, the traveler looks out the window. Not at anything specific, just out, as though he's more comfortable watching the horizon than the room he's in. He finishes his meal silently, stands, leaves cash on the table, more than the check, and walks out without another word. This is, by rule diner standards, prime gossip material. But the real odd part comes later, because once Maggie returns to the booth to clear the dishes, she finds something tucked under the coffee cup. A note. It's written in small, neat handwriting, almost too neat. And it says, "The crowd returns on Thursday." That's it. No name, no explanation, no hint of what that means or why anyone should care. Maggie stares at it, then snorts, then throws it into her apron pocket because, honestly, she doesn't know what else to do with it. She shows it to Russell, who reads it twice and shrugs. He says we don't have crowds, which is accurate. On a good day, Maggie's place gets 6 customers, maybe 7 if Earl gets bored and wants pie. So the note becomes one of those small-town anomalies, something to talk about at the grocery store, something for Denise, the librarian, to whisper about, something for Earl to make a conspiracy theory out of. He decides the traveler is either a government agent or a time traveler. Earl likes to operate exclusively at extremes. But Thursday arrives, and Thursday does something very un-Thursday-like. People show up. Slowly at first. A couple on a road trip who just felt like stopping here. A trucker who claims his GPS glitched and rerouted him past the diner. A family passing through who insist they remember eating her once, even though Maggie has never seen them in her life. By 8 a.m., every booth is full. Even the squeaky one, even the spring stabbing one. Frank the mailman walks in, sees the crowd, and freezes like a deer confronted by unexpected social interaction. Maggie moves from table to table, baffled but polite. Her face looks calm. Her soul is panicking. Russell burns half of the pancakes, which counts as improvement. By noon, the diner has made more money than it usually earns in a week. People say things like, "This place has a great feel," or "We were drawn here," or "We were just passing by and couldn't explain why we stopped." Maggie keeps pretending she isn't concerned. It's a coping mechanism. Then, just after the lunch rush begins to thin, someone leaves another note. Not the same traveler, just a random customer. A woman in her 40s. She pays her bill, thanks Maggie, and leaves. When Maggie clears the table, tucked under the plate is a small folded paper. This one says, "More are coming." No signature, no explanation, no sense whatsoever. And that's where things begin to shift. Subtly, slowly, in that quiet, creeping way that small town changes always seem to prefer. Because as the